We are live.
Yo, yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Vancity, Beats, Eats, and more. I am your hostess with the mostest. My name is Kazi. We out here on the unceded, stolen, and ancestral lands of the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish First Nations. And today on the show, for everyone who's tuning in, we are joined together by JK, aka GIJK, who grew up here, Surrey, Vancouver representing, has been traveling all over the world, has been based out of LA. So actually in this winter holiday season, it's aligned perfectly that JK could come on the show, sit down and talk with us. She is a Vancity Surrey breaking legend, OG now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you're getting that status, I'm just saying it. And, someone who's really important to our street dance, breakdance community, but also has explored herself in other different artistic expressions like poetry, like music, and other things, ... Fill in the blank.
Just more into different styles of movements for sure. And lots of different artist collaborations and whatever else the wind blows for me.
We'll get into it. We're definitely going to get into it on this show. But I think the first place that I want to start with you is, in order for us to understand who's the person sitting in front of us today, like, what do we need to know about who JK was as a child?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know, okay, so who was JK? Baby JK was a full-on athlete.
Born here?
No, I was actually born in Long Beach, California. And then my family came to Canada, first moved to Toronto, and then came to Vancouver. And then, I grew up in Surrey. I learned about the hip-hop culture, learned about breaking, especially through my sister and my older brother, too. So I'm the youngest of three. But it was my sister who really showed me my basics when it came to breaking. She taught me, my top rocks, basic top rocks.
Sick. Shout outs to your sis.
Yeah,
What's her name?
Her name is Stephanie Agudo, aka Chick China, who was an MC out here back in the days. Doesn't live in Vancouver no more, but she held down as a Battle Cat MC for sure.
Wow.
Repped with a lot of the homies out here, Emotions and DD Cascade.
Yes.
You name them. She's worked with them all. Kia Kadiri,
Aww.
And it's, growing up, hearing all her stories, all the work, all the battles she's done, it's like, whoa. Anywho's, so through her, she...
You just said Eddie Hoosers. Dead.
I'm so Canadian, right? So she taught me my basics with breaking, and she showed me, her and my brother, they would show me Battle of the Year on VHS, show me all the Much Music videos, all that good stuff. And so I would replay It's Like That by Run DMC. And, you had a scene where it was like the girls versus the guys. And in this battle, showing off who's the best, you had this one iconic, legendary Bgirl. Her name is Asia One.
Yes.
And so, when I first saw her, she was the first woman that I ever seen do power moves. And when I saw that, I was like, whoa, I want to do that too, And even though my sister introduced breaking to me, Asia One was the one that was like, it inspired me to take it to a whole nother level. And so, especially me being an athlete, I loved basketball because of my brother. He would drill it into me, and my dad.
They were ballers?
They were hella ballers, yeah. And I played volleyball. I did all the sports in high school. Not so much hockey or soccer, but I'll play in school. But basketball and volleyball, that was my ish, And so I was super competitive. So it just worked out with breaking and just like the correlation with that of, also challenging yourself and pushing yourself to the limits and just to be the best. Right? And so it kind of worked with my personality. And especially to be a Bgirl, to be a breaker, you kind of have to be a certain kind of person to pursue something like that, to be honest.
What kind of person?
a crazy person because you're constantly throwing yourself onto the floor.
Literally, figuratively, and literally.
all of that. Yeah. You know, it's not easy. It's hard, you know, but there was such a hunger and passion that I wanted more of it, and I loved the challenge. I loved the push of it. And it was so funny because when I was younger, so I was like 14, 16, and by the time I was like 16, I was like, yeah, I really want to pursue this. So I had, you know, I got scholarship to pursue volleyball in college. And I told my volleyball coach, I was like, yo, coach, I don't know if I can do senior year volleyball. Like, I want to keep dancing. And he's like, what? I was like, yeah, I want to keep dancing. And he's like, you want to do this hippity hop pop spin in your head stuff? And you don't want to do volleyball? And I was like, yeah. And you know, it was so awkward at that moment. Like it was super awkward. We had a weird relationship after that. Yeah. But years later down the road, who knew that me pursuing this career led me to performing at my old high school, and for him to see me live, and then for him to, like, full circle, he comes up to me and goes, yo, Jackie, I know I was a beep, but you proved me wrong. Yeah. He said, you proved me wrong. So anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Calm down, touring around the world, getting sponsored by Monster Energy, just winning battles, Redbull BC1 Bgirlz, like, hello. You know.
No, but
yeah, but yes. That's a while ago.
But yeah, no, so you know, it's been a journey. It's been a long journey, and I've learned so much. I grew so much, like figuring out what my style was, what it is that I wanted, what is the things I wanted to do, and having, you know, my family, of course, at first, you know, being Filipina, like our parents want us to be nurses, doctors, straight a lawyer, you know, and here I am, hey mom, dad, you know, I want to be a B-girl. What the heck is a B-girl, first of all?
You know, the hip-hop spin on your head.
You know, so, but through it all, my sister, when I was younger, she was the one who really, really pushed me and encouraged me. She was a person who, strong in faith, and a person who really believed in purpose and believed in, you know, we were all here for a reason, and really instilled that into me. I learned a lot about my discipline and my focus with my art when it comes to training. I learned it from her. Even though she, you know, used to break, but then pursuing being a battle cat MC, how she trained for her battles, I took that into my training.
Which was what?
And just how she was so focused. Like, I remember when I was maybe 10 years old, 10 all the way through my teens, I would go into her room and she would have words written in the walls, like different pieces of paper or cue cards, and she would write different words in her walls. And she did that because either she would have people over, or for her to test herself, she would pick a word and she'd just start freestyling off it. And then she would have different things. She was such a book nerd, so she loved to study different things, like you name it. She would study things, and whatever caught her attention, whatever she wanted to really memorize, she would write some keynotes of whatever it is that was cool that she learned and put up in the wall. There was a lot of different posters, anything that was a part of our culture, you know. Also, this is off topic, but the same. But I remember when I was younger, you know, I was 8 years old and I was doing like a school project, something about like the ancient times. I don't know what it was about, but somehow I did something with hip hop that was connected to it. I don't know, but it worked for some reason. Yeah. But I remember when I was working on that hip hop aspect of it, I was 8 years old, dude, and my brother was just, you know, he was kind of like on the side helping me with my project, and he's like, Jackie, what are the 4 elements of hip hop? And I was like, quiz time. I was like, breaking, DJing, rapping, MCing. Good job. Okay, and then, you know, just did my project. And so it's just like, you know, I grew up with hip hop heads, man. I grew up with hip hop heads, and I'm very grateful for that. So yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah, shout out to everybody's older brothers, older sisters, older cousins.
For real,
it's the same for me. The older cousins who grew up in the golden era of hip hop also raised me, or like instilled in me, planted seeds back then. Yeah. So then, how old were you actually when you first started breaking?
8.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, I did my first performance with my sister and her squad back in the days for the Filipino festival, and so it was so cute. It was my sister and one of her like Bgirl partners at the time. Her name was Garnett. She also had a little sister named Bernadette, and me being my sister's little sister.
Yeah.
You know, they had like. So our older sisters had a duo,
Yeah.
and then me and the younger sister, we had a duo in this show too. So it was so cool for the Filipino festival. We held it down.
Yes.
But yeah, that was like my first performance ever. Breaking was the first style of dance ever in my life, and yeah.
That's super cool. And then as you started to, I guess, do things beyond this group, like what was the Surrey breaking scene at that time like when you first entered? Who was around, and who do you remember like first connecting with?
So in high school, it was a lot with Floor Storm and Floor Fillers that I personally connected with. So Floor Fillers was Victor Tran, Savage Rock, B-. At that time, Trent, who was a popper, DJ. At that time, this is how I knew, and Ken Saru. This is how I knew Floor Fillers to be. They were all based at Fleetwood. I came from Princess Margaret.
Yeah.
And just, you know, within the school competitions, you have Outbreak, which was a straight up bite for an actual B-boy event called Outbreak. But,
yeah,
you know,
I was going to say, Outbreak came here? It was like, no, they just stole the name.
This was just like a dance competition bite. But because it's just like a local thing, it wasn't a big deal, you know what I mean? But so being part of, you know, the school dance team and then going to these school competitions, this is where I would see, you know, the breakers pull up from Fleetwood. And at that time too, Kenny Magisha from Now or Never crew.
Mugs.
Mugs. Wow, I'm dropping like government names. My bad. But I was younger, you know, at that time I was like 13. I was a teeny bopper. And I remember there was one of the outbreaks was at Sullivan Heights. And there was, you know, Outbreak, it's like a choreo competition, but there was always like a breaking battle.
Yes.
Right?
I grew up in this era too. Are you 88?
89.
89. Okay,
Yeah.
1 year younger. Same era.
Yeah. And I remember that it was like a 2-on-2 battle. And then at that time, Sav and Muggs, they were partners. So they entered this battle. I was like, whoa, who are these two? And I remember I was a teeny bopper. Yeah. And I remember me and my high school friends were like, oh my gosh, they're so cool. Like, look at them. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, just total fangirling of that time. And who knew, like, we would be, especially me and Sav, like, we would be, like, homies for life, you know? Fast forward, you know, I'm going to Fleetwood and get connected with Floor Fillers, get to know who they are, get connected with Floor Storm. Arthur and Ed, like, they're the ones, like, those are, like, my brothers for life, you know? And they really... Oh, how did I even connect with them? It was like through like school parties. It was like a lot of like different school birthday parties, and that's how we actually connected. And then finding out, oh, you break, oh, you like hip hop, okay, cool. Like, you know, you want to come to Guilford Rec and practice with us, or you know, like, you want to come over and we would practice, like, especially like at B- place. You want to practice in my living room, you know? Like, okay, yeah, sure. Or you want to practice in my garage, you know? And so it started off like that, just, you know, practicing together. And I remember this one, there's two beautiful moments I remember especially with Floor Fillers. One moment was, I think it was B-'s birthday, and we were just in the living room, and it was, they probably don't even remember this, but I'll always remember this. So Sav, and if somehow B-, if you see this. Yeah. We were sitting in the living room. Oh no, it was Savage's house, but it was for B-'s birthday. Or maybe it was Victor's birthday. But we were sitting in the living room. Yeah. And I remember, I think we were just playing Alpha Raw, either Alpha Raw or Binary Star. And we were just like listening to the lyrics, and all of us were just sitting on the carpet. Like, imagine like these 13, 14-year-olds just bobbing their heads and just like, yo, I love hip hop.
I'm having a moment right now. It's emotional, it's spiritual.
We all like, I feel like all of us said in our own words, we're like, yeah, man, hip hop is life. Yeah, and we were just like bobbing our heads. It was such a beautiful moment for these little kids. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then another moment was, so me and Sav, We were 16, and we were gonna go at that time. One of our old friends, her name was Justine. She was a Bgirl that I used to.
Justine.
You remember Justine?
Well,
With the C, last name.
I know.
You know who I'm talking about.
She married my friend Korai.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
Come on, small world, man.
She's
we're
awesome.
From the
But
same
continue.
hood. Anyway, so we wanted to go practice with her, and at that time too, me and Justine and our friend Trixie, who was with Floorstorm, we actually had our own cute little Bgirl crew called Babysitters Club. And it was a name that was given to us by a b-boy named Mike Rodriguez of
Mike Rock. Love you, Mike Rock.
Rodriguez of Super Happy Family and Soul Felons at that time.
Yes, Soul Felons.
But super duper happy family. Sorry, I had a season when I was part of that crew for a short season with them as well. And anyway, so he gave us that name because we were anyways. Yeah. So me and Victor, we wanted to go practice with Justine at her house. And so, because in Surrey, Surrey blocks are not Vancouver blocks. Surrey blocks are actually like massive blocks. And at that time, we didn't have cars. And so Victor's like, okay, so we're going to go bike to Justine's house. I was like, I'm super down. But we had to bring everything. We had to bring linoleum, we had to bring a boombox, and we had to bring our gear. And so we're like, okay, let's go. I'll never forget this. He brought out his bike. Yeah. And then so he's like, we're gonna do a double ride. I'm like, I'm so down. We're gonna figure this out. So he's standing. I sit on the seat. We both have our backpacks. I have my backpack. I think he had his backpack in front. Yeah. Rolled up the linoleum. Yeah. We both held it like this. Yeah. And then he had one hand on the thing, and then I had one of my arms on his waist. Yeah. And I think the boombox was like in front, like in between him and the handlebars.
That is a sight to see.
Yo, I will never forget this. So we were biking. I think Justine lived like 2 blocks, 2 Surrey blocks. So this was so funny. We're like 16 years old, so we're biking, and I remember at one point, like we're going like this, like cars. We're going so slow. Cars are like passing. You can tell like they're just looking at us. Like, look at these kids like carrying all this stuff with like all our gear and everything. And we stumbled upon like a bunch of gravel. Yeah. We're like, oh shoot! We're like, ah! We kind of like fell over. Picked ourselves up, and then eventually made our way to Justine's house to finally practice. Wow! But those are such beautiful moments I'll never forget. Arthur Floorstorm, that's my brother for life. He's the one who really, really brought me. Like, he told me about Guildford Rec Center, and a bunch of different practices that were happening, like Fleetwood as well. And he would always pick me up. Well, same with Sav and Beingz, they would always pick me up and drive me to wherever we need to go practice or events in Vancouver. But Arthur, the school that he was going to at the time, I think it was VCC, was it? And they would always do different school events, and he always wanted to have us like dance with him. And so performing with this guy so many times for his school performances will always be part of my heart, because it was such a moment where like it was just, these are my brothers. Yeah, it's my family, man. Like we started off together. Like I started really, really breaking with them,
And this is the early 2000s.
This is like early 2000s. Yeah, like 2003, 2004. And so till this day, like there's a picture I remember of me, Sav, and Arthur, and it's just like us younger, and then there's like another picture of us older. Just like, dang, like we're still doing the thing, but we're doing it all differently. But it's just, we're still part of the culture. We still love each other too, and it's just so crazy to see the evolution of hip hop, of breaking, and of how it's and where it's brought us. It's such a trip. Till this day, like Yeah. I know, especially like when I'm traveling, especially like Arthur, you can attest to this too. Like I'll message her like, Arthur, what do you think of this? Because I'll be doing a bunch of interviews too. Like, sorry, not a but I'll do some interviews.
Like, I'm on high demand.
No, that's
a bit of a flex.
No. Yeah. But they're I've been really blessed and privileged to be on certain platforms. And I'll text Arthur, like, Arthur, what did you think of this? Or like say like not even just an interview, like even a battle, I'm like, Arthur, like, and I'll send him like, what'd you think of this? Like, he always had my back, and always he will check me, you know, and even there are moments where like out of habit, like the way I dance, if I do certain things, I'll be like, yo, Arthur, does this look like someone that we know, you know? And he's like, oh yeah, you know, maybe
He'll
maybe
give
not.
you the honest
It's
answer.
just like that's my brother, man. Like,
yeah,
I love that guy. I love Victor too, and Victor and Beingz probably don't even remember this as well. So, wow, I'm going off.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have questions you want to ask.
I do. But you know, like these are like priceless stories.
Yo,
you know?
it's like it makes me so happy just to share this, you know, because like this is like my childhood. But this is the last story, I promise, and you can ask your questions.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, you know, like I really, really, really wanted to dance with floor fillers. Like I remember I told B- and Sav, because they were battling a lot as floor fillers. And I was like, I want to battle with you guys, you know, like I really want to battle with you guys. They probably don't remember this. And then Victor and B- were like, well, if you want to battle with us, you better get your swipes, you better get your flares, you better get your baby mills, and you better get your windmills. And I was like, crap. But it was such motivation. You know, I was...
For anyone who doesn't know, like moms out there watching the good old telescopic TV, like
Yeah.
all those moves that you named, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how high level would you say those are?
Oh, it's pretty high level. Like, to be honest, it's, you know, they're called power moves, right? And so, but these 4 in particular are your foundational power moves. Oh, and also I like having a nice backspin. I love clean backspins. Ooh, that's foundational as well.
Yeah.
But these 4 particular moves, like it's for me, it's foundational, you know? And so, but they're hard. So for me, like to even have it really, really, like I still don't even have them really, really good, but to be able to understand the mechanics and to whip it out in a battle, I can say like I could whip it out in a battle. But they're pretty freaking hard. Like to have it really good, like I actually would say like 9 or 10. To have it really, really good, like, yeah, people underestimate these 4, but it's like, they're actually really hard to have it really good. So with that being said, you know, being 16, 17 at that time, already there was a standard that I wanted to meet, you know, whereas I already, you know, when I was coming up, YouTube really started to really pop off at that time, and it was perfect. The timing was so perfect because that's how I was able to really get a lot of inspiration to see what else was out there, you know. And at that time, not a lot was on it, you know. A lot of like old videos were not a lot, but there are a few that people would upload. You know, it was still just popping off. So then that's when I went back to watching It's Like That by Run DMC over and over again because I was like, oh, I searched it up and I just kept looking at it over and over again and rewatching Asia One's rounds and like...
Because she's in the music video.
She's in the music video. And she was, again, the first woman who I saw do power move. So when the guys gave me this, I was like, well, I'm going to get it, you know? And so even though there was the people who I knew that were women and even other people who I saw, they didn't have power moves yet. So to be honest, it felt like, okay, like... I was going to be the one to really, really get power moves. But I wasn't even thinking about that. Just like processing out loud. It's just like, okay, like it was such a catapult for me, for my career. Yeah. It was like, I'm so grateful for that because once I understood the mechanics and started to whip them out, like, I started to battle with them. But it was it allowed me to travel. And when I would travel and battle with against different people and just to see, dang, like, they didn't have their foundational power. Like me, I was forced to learn because I wanted to battle with my boys so badly, you know? And so I had such a great start to my breaking career and having the right mentors around me, leading me, you know? So, okay, I'll let you ask me questions now.
No, that's so dope. And that's actually something I wanted to point out about you that I also first noticed because, you know, obviously a man's physique is different from a woman's physique and like picking up and learning power moves, like I mean, just from what I can see observationally wise, and you can fill in the blanks, but it's like, it seems like it takes maybe more building of muscle training, et cetera, like when you talk about the mechanics that you've had to develop, like would you agree with that? Like that it's
Oh man,
more
yeah,
challenging
like
for those who are built or born in a woman's body, female body?
yeah, because a lot of men, their power and strength comes from the arms, right? Our central gap for women is lower.
Our legs,
our hips, our gluteus maximus,
Yeah.
everything right
The
here, the booty, you know.
Yeah.
So we got this that's really holding us down. At least with these certain power moves, it's not, for me at least. Yes, like it's hard and there is a level of strength to have, but at the end of the day, it really is mechanics. If you understand the mechanics, you learn to catch the momentum, and that kind of carries you through it. So you're not muscling through these movements, right? And so I'm very grateful that Savage Rock and B-, like they're not your typical B-boys who just say, just do it. They're not just your typical B-boys who are talented and don't know how to teach. These are talented B-boys who know how to teach. So even me being a woman, they knew how to break down certain movements that my brain went, oh, so that's, like I learned because of them, that's power.
Super cool.
And not a lot of women get that. Like from all my travels, when I talk to different Bgirls, they never, not that you never, but majority of them didn't have a teacher, a friend, a mentor, break it down to them the way my boys broke it down for me. Because I was able to get it quicker, right? Whereas, and it was crazy because how I learned from them, it helped me to be able to help my sisters in the scene from all over the place.
That's so cool.
So I owe a lot to my brothers of Flor Phyllis, you know what I mean?
In that, you know, because you came up during a time during hip hop where it's so male dominated. And I mean, breaking in and of itself, that's super male dominated.
Yeah.
Like, what was, it doesn't surprise me with Arthur, with Savage Rock, you know, those are also my bros too. And like, they're just such balanced, beautiful, evolved human beings that it doesn't surprise me that they were so supportive of you on your come up. But did you feel, I mean, like, what was the scene like then? Did you really feel like you had to prove yourself, especially with a bunch of dudes in the scene?
You know what was really cool? A time that I was coming up, so there was a Bgirl crew out here called Fly Antics.
Bum,
The
bum.
first and only Bgirl crew here that consisted of Invertebrat, Miss Finesse, Lynn Blessed, and Rhythm Maria.
Yes. And they were a hip hop crew too. Like they did multiple elements, not just breaking, right?
So that time when they were here, they were focusing on just breaking. And then my sister, through, you know, being part of the community, got connected with Fly Antics, two members of Fly Antics, the big Invertebrat and Miss Finesse. Long story short, they wanted to bring my sister into the crew. And really, now they're talking like, let's really make this a hip-hop crew. And then so my sister's telling me about these women. I was like, oh, there's women out here who break like, you know, break structures. They're really strong. They're really good too, you know. So that was inspiration for me. And fast forward, introduces me to Invertebrat, Miss Finesse at first. And then Invertebrat became my official like mentor. And, you know, teaching me my foundations and, you know, playing, you know, she had me over one time and, you know, she would play these old VHS videos. She's a real mentor. She played these VHS videos of an event called Queen Bee. And she's like, if you're going to get into this, you're going to need to know who's who. And so she played this and she taught me who I needed to know in the scene. Every single Bgirl that battled. This is the first.
Who do you remember on this tape?
Oh my gosh,
and
so
where
many.
was Queen Bee? Where was
Queen
that
Bee
battle?
was held in San Diego.
Okay.
And so the two VHS videos that she showed me was 2002 and 2003. And so she showed me who Abigail was. Abigail was a Bgirl from New Jersey who lives in New York, from Domestic Apes. She was the first woman who I ever saw do halos. Halos is another power move where you're spinning on the side of your head instead on top of your head. And so because of seeing Abigail, the power of just seeing what is attainable, it shows what you can do. So when I saw that, I said I wanted to do that. And so because of that,
you trained to do it.
I trained to do it, and I'm pretty confident to say I'm the first Bgirl in Canada to start doing halos in Canada. I'm pretty confident in that, but feel free to check me. But I'm pretty certain of that. And so,
yeah, pretty certain. Feel free to check me. We can battle later.
No, not even like, but just just correct me, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So Abigail was on that. Bibish from France was in there. Jess FX from Vivid Vixens was on there too. Actually, Cleopatra Manuel was. I believe she was in that as well.
Wow.
No Easy Props. No Easy Props was there. So like Asia One was in there. So there were so many different Bgirls and Floor Angels, like Beta Rock, like all Candy. Like she was telling me who was who, and so I was really grateful to get educated with her. So it was cool to eventually get put down into Fly Antics, and to learn from them. As a teeny bopper, to be with these grown women, these adults who are professionals in like their careers, it taught me how to be professional at a young age. When you have a lot of hip hop heads who don't know how to be professional, and because with them, like they were literally businesswomen. Like that was like their side. Like, if I'm correct, feel free to correct me too, Invertebrate or Miss Finesse if you see this. But they were business women. So like they, breaking wasn't like their full career. They had other work on the side that was actually what paid the bills, right? And so with that, they had to be they were so focused and so professional in what they did, and that they brought it into their careers as breakers as well. And so they were always checking me at a young age, like how to be punctual, how to communicate, yada yada yada, etc.
Wow.
And so I'm grateful for them for that. And but yeah, to be part of a scene, like I didn't feel intimidated because Vancouver is it's small but big scene. You still do, but there are different crews out here, right? When I was coming up, you had Breakaholics in Richmond. You had Now or Never crew out in Burnaby, Vancouver, Surrey. You have Floor Storm. Yeah, for Phyllis. You had the Super Duper Happy Family Fun Time, the longest name ever at that time, based in Vancouver. Yeah, Soul Phalanx, yeah. Yeah, Japanada. And then, when I was a little bit older, then DRS, the new generation started to come up as well, and Sophisticats. But before them, it was and Filthy Feet too. Oh my gosh, Rory Rocket, like this guy and that crew, like Dean and Mark Silla, like especially these individuals in particular, like I have so much love for them. They really took me in their wing as well. But I didn't feel intimidated just because at the time when I was coming up, I felt like these crews saw that I was genuinely hungry for it, that I genuinely wanted it, and I wasn't trying to get easy props. I actually, everyone works hard, but I felt like, or it seemed like because I was younger, I feel like it was like, oh, this is like a young protege. So I felt like all these crews wanted to invest into me. They poured into me. They all, in their own ways, different timings, taught me, and I'm very appreciative of that. So I never felt intimidated. I felt really good. Of course, when it comes to battles, like, there's always going to be the battle nerves. That's always going to be there. But in terms of, like, being in the community, like, I never had to look over my shoulder. I never needed to be afraid of who I was talking to. It was always love.
That's dope,
It was
JK.
it was always love. And I'm very grateful and fortunate for that because, again, through my travels, so many different Bgirls have so many different experiences.
Totally.
And but I'm grateful for this particular journey, this particular path that was given to me to be blessed by such a beautiful community and to literally receive different secrets.
Yeah.
And so, so I literally, like, GI-JK, who was once JK-47, that was given to me by a crew called RBP in Toronto and Filthy Feet. These two crews, they gave me my name, JK47. And so who JK47 was and who GIJK is now with breaking, you know, like I owe a lot to the Vancouver scene. Absolutely. Especially Kim Sato, Natasha Gori. Like these are like my sisters who are also pillars in our dance community. I owe so much to them. Oh my goodness, like in so many different ways. I owe so much to Fly Antics. I owe so much, the Vancouver scene, period. So, yeah, I hope that answered your question.
Definitely. It was a really big throwback for me of a lot of those names that are super familiar, and also like growing up, going to competitions and like knowing and seeing those crews. So, yeah, and it's also really encouraging to hear that you grew up with so many amazing mentors and support, because at one point in time I was a B-boy's girlfriend, and I hear the boys' locker room talk, and and like the way that when we would go to a battle, and if a B-girl threw down, it's like the judgment was extra harsh on her if she was good enough, if she was dope enough, if she was like hard enough, and raw enough, and so. I feel like that is definitely an upward battle that one has to go through. Yeah. But it's cool that, for you in particular, you were raised in an environment that really helped shape you. And I also love that you made the differentiation between there's, being out in the community, and then there's the vibe switch when you're about to battle. Because then it's like the competition is on, the sport is on, like I'm out for your neck, bruv. Like
the smoky.
Exactly. Don't underestimate me, fam. Which is sick. And I also like that you touched upon your different iterations of your names. Yeah. What does being GIJK mean to you now?
GIJK is a grown, mature artist being. GIJK, oh man, is constantly on a learning journey, but definitely has learned a lot, and is definitely a warrior.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to see that like JK47 is kind of like an allusion to the weapon. Yeah. And like going from being a weapon who could be weaponized versus now being the mastermind behind your strategy of how you go out and fulfill the mission.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved how you said it like that too, because that's literally what it is. JK47 was younger, was more fired up. I mean, I'm fired up in a different way. But there was a different kind of fire where I wouldn't say it was reckless, but it was just like the mentality was just straight up like battle, And there's nothing wrong with that, because it has brought me to so many different places in my career in so many different ways. JK47 was definitely more aggressive in terms of like, not even personality, like not in a negative way, but it was just a different kind of aggression where it was just, it was a battle phase for me. GIJK is more on an artistic and expressive and more on an honest place. A place of just being grown.
Yeah.
And again, just, learning a lot and taking what I've learned and to channel it in different ways. As you brought up earlier in this, in this talk, I love to do poetry. I love to do music. I love to just create in so many different ways and how it looks. I love to write. I love to sketch. Graffiti has always been a love of mine. I'm not an expert at it. I'm still working on my letters, but I love to work on letters.
Yes.
I love it, but I'm such a nerd. Anytime, like, if I'm, wherever I'm traveling, or if I'm on a bus, or if I'm on a train, or if I'm driving, and if I see like a piece, I'm always just like, I'll park and just look at like, what? Like, I'm a nerd. I appreciate it so much. But, you know, I can never say, like, I'm a graffiti writer because that's not what I specialize in. Absolutely not. I'll do my little my bubble letters on the side, you know? But I appreciate it. So I just, definitely in this place, I've been just creating so much. Creating.
How did you get, like, at what point did you make that choice to then go to LA? Because I remember in the scene, like, I was seeing you around, you were always an awesome, friendly face to see at events and at battles, and then all of a sudden, it was like, you were in LA. I don't even remember that transition point. And then just seeing you then, like, really reach different levels, higher levels of success. You know, I think that was, like, Redbull BC1 stuff, and then seeing you getting sponsored by Monster, like, when and how did all of that happen?
So when I first left Vancouver, I went to Arizona.
Okay.
And it's funny because, so that was 2017. And when I went to go to Arizona, this was my mind, I actually was done with dance. I wasn't trying to pursue dance at all. I wanted to switch careers and pursue personal training. Okay. I felt burnt out at that time. And I remember being in a meeting with this company that I used to work with. And there was like me and like the staff. And one of my friends was in the staff too, and everyone's like, they're all different style of dance teachers. And so, I don't know, we had a conversation, and it came to me, and the question along the lines was just like, okay, what's next? And so I was just kind of just talking out of my mouth, and I was like, yeah, you know, so since I'm done dance, like, da-da-da-da-da, blah, blah, blah. And my friend was just like, Angelo Trinidad, what are you talking about, man? I was like, what? He's like, you done dance? Yeah, right. Like, I was like, no, bro, like, for real, like, you know, I just.
Were you kidding? For real. I'm really letting it go now.
You know, for real, like, you know, I feel content. I feel content with all the work that I've done, and not that I did anything crazy. It was just like, you know, at that time, I did a lot of travels already. By 2017, I've traveled a lot in different places in the world. I've done a lot of battles, taught a lot. Was part of Project Soul. We had a beautiful theater piece, and also doing performances for schools and different, you know, events. And so I don't know, my heart felt content, and especially since with some other stuff that I also was personally dealing with in my heart and in my mind, I felt like I needed to let go of dance. And so when I said that, he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, nah, man. He's like, you're saying this now, but you're not done. And I was like, yeah, I'm done. And then so I was like, okay, let me continue with this conversation. So I was telling people, my next step is like, I'm going to move to Arizona. Because in my mind, thinking that Arizona, like, breaking wasn't prevalent. And so that's why it was going to be easier for me to be out there and just focus on my studies of being a personal trainer. So do I know? I wasn't even thinking, because I know certain breakers are out there, but it didn't click at that time.
Yeah.
I arrived to Arizona, and of course, like, Bonita from Beat Freaks is out there, and Why Not was out there too. Yeah, Why Not? And so, like, you know, and of course there is a breaking scene. There is like, honestly, for me, Arizona is literally like Vancouver, but just into the desert. It's like another big small community. So they have a pretty, you know. They have a good dance community
and history,
you know. So it's just there's a lot of history there as well. And so JK could not escape this purpose that was actually, you know, it was destiny, you know. But here I am. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna escape dance, and so I'm studying, and of course, like, you know, I get asked, or I get told about there's a dance practice. You know, I'm a Bgirl. Of course, like, I still want to throw down, but doesn't mean I'm going to pursue breaking. So I'm like, I'm throwing down at this practice. And people are like, oh, who's this girl? And then, and they're like, oh, there's a battle. You want to go to this battle? I'm like, I'll check it out. I check out the battle. It's a 1-on-1. I enter it. And, like, you know, of course, like, with all the guys, I make top 8, the only chick. Yeah. And so, you know, not saying anything, but that kind of, you know, made some noise. And so people were like, wait, what the heck? You know, like,
who is this person?
Who's this person? Yeah. But then after that, you know, also other people from different states were also finding out that I was in Arizona. And so, you know, if you're within the states, AZ, it's also another hub, right? So it's easier to fly people, you know, fly out and into Arizona. So people were calling me out, flying me out to judge. People were calling me out and flying me out to teach workshops. So I was like, oh, okay, sure. And so I'm flying out, and I'm like, here I am trying to not pursue dance, but dance is pulling me out again.
Yep.
And so at one point, you know, this is a different story for another time. I was working at the Phoenix Zoo so I can pay my bills, and as a photographer. And my manager, I just kept taking days off. I kept booking days off, and I was getting invitations to even be like guest battler and all that stuff. And you know, and she was super supportive. And one event that I was, it was so cute. One event that I was an invited guest to battle at, it's called Undisputed. There was a flyer, and I guess some of my coworkers, they found that flyer and they gave it to her. And so in our office, all the computers, her computer was my flyer for Undisputed.
Oh my god!
And it was so, and she told me after, but like, you know, our regional managers of this company, they were like, you know, coming through, and they kind of asked her like, why is this flyer, you know, because like everything is like so professional.
Yeah.
And then you have her computer that's like so like hip hop. I don't know how to say it, but you know, and she's like, that's my team, so leave it. And I was like, oh, I was so happy about that. But yeah, so that happened in Arizona. I was there, and then Rascal Randy, she was in town, and I can't remember why she was in town. Either she was teaching a workshop, or no, there was Queens of Hip Hop, I believe, and there was an event. So she came through, and I was just like, at this point too, like I already quit my job because I kept flying. I was doing a lot of dance gigs.
Yeah.
So I
couldn't
quit
even
my
hold
job.
down that job.
I couldn't even hold down the job, you know. And so, so at this point, when Randy was in town, I was just like, oh man, like I kind of, not that I was desperate for money, but I was like, I kind of should work. You know, I need something more stability.
Yeah.
I mean, as an artist, is there really any stability?
Yeah.
But I just needed more flow. And so she told me about a company that, you know, that she was with, and they're doing auditions in LA if I wanted to try it out. And I was like, whoa, I'm like, do I want to spend money to fly to LA? I'm like, I'm trying to save, but at the same time too, this could be an opportunity. And I was like, you know what? Let's just do it. So I fly to LA, I do this audition, I land it, and I start touring with them. This is the hip hop Nutcracker.
Oh.
And so I was with them for 5 years.
I've seen it.
You saw it?
Dude, oh my gosh, I don't know if you remember this, but it was during 2018 when I was going to Seattle like multiple times in the year.
Oh, so you
and
when Diamonds was there?
No, I don't think so.
Because they came to watch and
Yeah, but no, it wasn't.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. So
I don't remember seeing that, but I remember being there. I remember Tracy, because I always stay with them, and Tracy was like, yeah, we're gonna go see the hip hop Nutcracker, and I was like, sick, like, because I know Nene's in the show, you're in the show, and then we went to the show, no expectations, no idea what was going on, just very grateful I had a free ticket, and then all of a sudden it's like, and introducing the show for this evening is Curtis Blow, and then he's like, clap your hands. He's in all white Adidas Superstars, and I just like started high-pitched screaming because I'm like,
so cool.
I did not know that I was gonna come out tonight to hear Curtis Blow do that song, and then introduce you guys.
Yeah.
Were you a mouse? Were you one of the mice?
I was Teacup. Oh yeah, no, yeah, I was one of the mices. Yeah, I was one of the mouses. Yeah.
Oh my god! But yeah, I saw the show. It was so fun. Hip Hop Nutcracker.
Yeah. So I landed that. That was like my first audition in LA. I got it, and so I would do the tour, and I had, you know, I kind of like left AZ, but I left my stuff there, and when I would do the tour, because it's a seasonal gig, right? So I would do that, and then I would just do my own travels. And then after that, I did that 2 years straight in a row where I would just do the gig and just travel on my own. And at one point, I was like living off my suitcase. And I'm like, I'm tired, man. Like, I just need to get planted. And I didn't feel being planted in Arizona was the move anymore. And so I remember after traveling, I did a stopover in Vancouver and also to be here for our Diamonds anniversary. And I was just like, I think I'm going to just make the move to LA. Let me just make the move to LA, see what's up. And it felt good in my heart. Things aligned. Moved there 2019 after Diamond's anniversary. And that's when I started living there. And then pandemic hit and I was stuck.
That's how it went.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was in LA for 4 years.
Wow, which brings us to here and now.
First bite.
Welcome everybody to our first ever segment called First Bite, where this is a new thing that me and Jamal have started. Oh, cool! Where we are bringing in some treats into the show, and we would like to capture both of our reactions of our first bite.
Okay,
but
let's go.
we literally made this sound bite yesterday.
Oh, really?
And that first bite is like Jamal's roommate, Jess, JJ Goo.
Okay.
And then, yeah, we literally made it last night. We were like, what kind of sound? We need some sort of like sound indicator to break into the interview.
I know, I was just like, what's happening right now? I'm like, should I like do the robot? Like,
You just see me going,
I know, I was like, okay, sure.
so good. I didn't know how this was going to go. We tried to. Anyways, we're here now. This is my point. Today on deck for First Bite, we are having some amazing little treats, which I know little birdies, aka Coco, told me that you're really into the healthy, yummy, like vegan, gluten-free, non-GMO, type of desserts, type of sweet tooth. So I went over to Sweet Cherubim, which is just on Commercial Drive. You were thinking about it.
I was on my way here and I stared at it. I was like, should I walk in there? I'm like, oh, but look at the time. I'm like, okay.
And so I've gotten two
so
vegan
funny.
treats. This is a blueberry cheesecake, which is like an almond cashew kind of base.
Oh my God.
And then this, for my fellow Filipina, is a vegan mango pudding. Oh my God. Yeah. Which like I had to put down a deposit for this cup because it came in the cup and I'm going to have to return it.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, they're like, we do a $5 deposit on the glassware. I'm like, all right, sweet. Or I might have bought just a new glass. Who knows? But yes, so for this portion, we're gonna zoom in to our face. You're gonna be right here. What do you want to try first?
Oh my gosh, let's do this first.
Let's do this first. Okay. So we're both gonna go in. We're both gonna have our first bite. No, don't overacting, okay? Just like the genuine reaction. No OA.
Okay,
Ready?
Yeah.
Let's go. Get some of that maple syrup or whatever is on the bottom. I don't know. I made that up. Let's see.
Okay.
Whoa. Those were berries. Those were berries on the bottom.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at... Did you zoom in? That's really good.
I've never had something like that before.
Pudding with... Whoa. Yeah. Coconut.
What's up? That's
I think this is like coconut. This is almond. This is cashew. This is some coconut flakes on top. Some cinnamon, chocolate chips, blueberries.
Don't mind if I do.
And what I believe is maple syrup. And obviously mango. Wow, that's really good. Yeah, if anyone doesn't know, Sweet Cherubim is an Indian family-owned restaurant, kind of cantina style, where they've got a lot of yummy vegan, vegetarian. Actually, I think everything in there is vegan. But they do a hot plate section, subi styles. They do lassies. They've got also like a vegan almond milk mango lassi, and then desserts. And people there are so friendly. Yep.
Oh, my heart. Okay.
Next.
Yeah, because I'm going to devour that later.
Okay. So this is the almond vegan cheesecake.
Okay, real quick, get to know me. I've been on a hunt. Like, I'm always hunting for vegan cheesecake. And so this is
perfect. Let's see.
Okay. This one's better. The process was real.
Because I'm like, is it cheesy enough? Are we getting there? Have they accomplished the effect of cheesecake sans cheese?
Yo, man. I'm sorry, man. That just didn't hit. Like, it was kind of like cardboardy. But
Yes, the honest reaction.
but you know what? Like, I'll eat it because I'm Filipino. Like,
Someone's gonna like this. Someone's gonna appreciate this. I'm sure. Sash, the lady at
I'm trying to appreciate it. I'm trying.
Yeah. The lady at the counter said this was her favorite cheesecake. They had other flavors, like pomegranate. They had mango. She said the mango one was the best, but I knew I wanted to go for the mango pudding. So, yeah, we're going to go back to that. This one Jamal can have. The two Filipinos love the mangoes. That's real.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh, how did you like that surprise?
That caught me off guard. I don't know what I'm doing, but this is dope. This
Great.
is so genius.
I think that we shall continue this segment of First Bite. I'm going to ask you more questions now.
Let's go.
I would love to know what... Actually, I hit up our brothers, Arthur, me, and Victor. We have a group chat. It's cute. Oh. And I asked them, I was like, listen, I'm interviewing JK this weekend.
They know?
Of course they did. They helped share and stuff like that because they're cute like that. And I was like, if there's something you want to know, like what would you want to hear from her, like especially here and now at this point in time of her artistic journey in life? And okay, both of them were very curious about two things.
Oh man.
Okay, and I'll let you answer in the order that you feel like answering.
Okay.
They want to know your take on breaking in the Olympics. Obviously. Hot take.
You guys suck.
And the other thing that they wanted to know about was, what was your experience to like be sponsored, you know, and be an athlete, be a dancer who's been having that sponsored experience? If you could talk about it, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yo, especially with these two guys, like when we were coming up, that was the talk when we were younger for like ever, like a decade plus.
What, breaking in the Olympics?
About breaking in the Olympics. Like I remember Dizzy from Super Nats. Like that was something that he was trying to work on forever. Like he was really trying to push that, like working on a judging system. And I just remember, whoa, it's so crazy that it's these two that you were talking to, because again, like these are my brothers. And that was a talk of just like, I remember like it was like yesterday, like we're just like, yo, in different times with these two guys. Like, oh, imagine breaking the Olympics. That would be so cool, you know? And even talking about sponsorship, like one day, you know, like sponsorships, like that would be so dope. Like, and, you know, things aligned where I was able to get sponsored by Monster. And that's such a trip. It's such a trip. Like, you know, thinking back of like being 16, 17, of like, is that even a thing? Like, is that even attainable? And then here the opportunity was presented to me. Being sponsored was so, wow, it was like a dream come true, you know? And it definitely supported me a lot, especially living in LA.
Yeah, like financially they give you money and then you rep their product in battles and events and stuff like that. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Okay, word.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's different for different, you know, companies, but for the most part, I felt like, especially from what I heard too, you know, Redbull and Monster seems like it was on a similar tip like that, but different, of course, different scales and like. Yeah. And also depending on the artist too, like different contracts, right? Yeah. So I had my own contract, and different Monster members had their own different contracts as well. But for the most part, for me, it was like, yeah, you know, I got gear, I got monetary sponsorship, like a stipend every month. Anything that had to do with battles, they would cover the costs.
Oh wow.
If I was repping. There was no problem with me repping with my crews. There was never a problem. But if there was an opportunity to rep with the Monster team, that was always something that was pushed. Like, okay, Monster team, like, and you know, we would always chat, like, who can rep here, who can rep there, you know, and people would build their teams off that. But if that wasn't a thing, then I could also rep on my own. I could rep with my crew. But of course, no matter what event I show face, I have to be in gear. Right. So that was like, I guess that was like the main gist of the sponsorship. And then the other question was
breaking in the Olympics.
Breaking the
Your
Olympics.
Thoughts.
So for me, breaking the Olympics, it's so interesting, but you know, it's it's not something I'm against. Definitely, it's a different avenue. It's a different, it's a different platform. It's a different platform that's not my taste, my preference, but nonetheless, it's another platform. I'm not gonna judge or mock anyone that wants to pursue an Olympic route, because it's a route that brings more exposure to our culture, and with more exposure, that brings more sponsorships,
And
more
potential support.
Exactly, right? So that was one of the things that, in my mind, that I was on board with. Judging system, am I really about that? No, I'm not. I'm never been favorable about a point system that separated our art into categories. And I had a short period when I was part of the U.S. Olympic Committee, and then when we were talking about the judging systems and all the different things, like the infrastructure for it, due to my own personal reasons, I actually had ended up leaving the committee, and it was my journey is so interesting, because being involved and then just seeing how everything was going, and then after that being out of it and watching it from afar on the outside perspective, I was like, whoa, this is so interesting. And it's cool to watch from afar, because there's nothing holding me, and I have no one pointing a gun at me or anything like that. It's just more like I can really just judge how I want to judge and say what I want to say, But it was really fascinating to see, and no names at all, and just different individuals would come and hit me up. But when you see a dancer break in the Olympics, or in all the WDSF, all the qualifying events for the Olympics, as they generate points, when it's categorized, right, you see breakers trying to gain points for these different categories. And it's cool, because this is a catch-22. It's in a sense, it's good, because it challenges a breaker to, okay, bet, these are the areas that you can see, the areas that you're weak in, right?
Right.
But what the negative aspect of that was, when I started to watch from afar, I started to see individuals kind of give up, lose their integrity when it comes to their individuality, right? At the end of the day, our style is developed with our weaknesses and our strengths, right? And no matter what, you can be, you're constantly learning, you're constantly growing, but people start to develop certain aesthetics in how they break, and that really defines their style. That really shows, this is what they do. Of course, you start to, you learn all the different things, all the different, avenues with breaking in the art form, right? You learn the different elements in breaking. And then you pick and choose what you like and all that stuff. But the interesting part was when I was watching from afar this time, and then seeing breakers, say, for example, they actually didn't really have power, but then because they were low on power points, because I think you can start to see the points as you're battling.
Oh, wow. They're doing it live.
Because I remember, maybe this was the earlier, but I remember it was just oh, interesting, because say they're weaker in power, for example, and it's okay, I'm going to just throw a power move just so I can get that power move. But it's say their windmills was crap, right? You just forfeited your actual, your integrity with your style. For me, it's you jeopardize your style just to gain a point.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right. So the system also existed, and that person needed to conform in order to fit within that system.
Exactly. So that was one of the things, from afar, I was just well, that wasn't cool at all, and having individuals coming, messaging me on IG, yo, what, should I do this? Should I do that? And I'm bro, and I would tell them, represent, because this is our culture, right? We want to represent honestly and authentically our style, right? If you come correct with what you do and that is your strength, it would speak volumes. It speaks volumes. But the only thing is with the Olympics, with the categories, yeah, you're gonna generate points in certain areas, and you're not gonna generate points in your weaker areas, right? So that's like the interesting part about the Olympic route, and at the same time, starting to see of like it's being like this red robin situation, right? So I'm seeing individuals that are throwing more rounds than normal. So, in a normal, in a local jam, right? You have your prelims, you have your top 32, top 16, depending how many people
enter the battle,
right? And then you go your top 16, top 8, finals, etc., right? So generally, maybe in a jam, you'll probably throw legit like 9 rounds, solid rounds. 9, maybe 10, maybe 11. Let's say maybe 12 if there's like tiebreakers. Let's say that, right? But, as this Olympic thing has been having, the WDSF events, I'm hearing people are doing these red robins where they're throwing like 30 rounds. 30 rounds.
By
in a
throwing?
jam.
What do you mean throwing the 30 rounds?
Oh, no, I mean like you're throwing down. Throwing
Got it.
down, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. When you're throwing down 30 plus rounds, there's only so much that's going to be unique. By 30, because, you can cipher, right?
Right.
Well, at jams, you're ciphering and you're throwing rounds regardless, but it's like hit it and quit it rounds, right?
Right.
But with these rounds, because you're doing red robin, you're battling people like over and over and over again, you have to do longer rounds that are stacked. So there's only so much rounds that are stacked that you can do that is unique. So if you're throwing down 30 rounds, you're repeating. You're totally repeating. And that's one of the things that, growing up in the scene, it's like, it's kind of looked down, oh, you don't repeat. I remember being at Redbull in Switzerland, and there was a Bgirl. I remember we were watching the top 8 battles. Chick killed it. All her rounds were so sick. When it came to the final battle the next day, we're watching her rounds, and we're like, wait, didn't she just do that already? Wait, she did that too. Like an A to Z round for the semifinals and the finals. And so we're all like, whoa, she totally repeated. So, this is what we grew up with, of just like, you don't repeat your rounds. But here in the Olympics, it's not even about like the uniqueness of your rounds anymore at that point if you're doing red robins, right? Of course, like in the finals or whatever, like I guess at some point style and unique will count. But at that point when you're throwing down 30 rounds, it's literally about stamina.
Yeah.
At that point, it's
like a marathon.
It's a marathon, and it's like you're checking, I guess the points is now about like stamina at this point, right? So it's such a different route. Not my favorite, but it's something I'm not gonna knock because it was so cool to see a lot of people from different countries, and have the country itself really try to gear themselves up to even support artists into athletes for this. So it was a really cool thing to see from afar. But fast forward, Olympics is now going to be a thing for breaking in 2028. So let that go. But that was something that was cool to witness and to see. And I'm not going to say that it was all for nothing. Maybe in my, just to being honest, when I first heard the news, I was like, oh, that for nothing. I was like, oh my gosh. But it really wasn't all for nothing because it's still happening in Paris, 2024.
This year.
It's still going down, right? And so it's still on a big platform. People are still seeing it, worldwide on big screens. And what's beautiful about it is that you're going to have, like, for example, my parents, they have a new respect for it, right? So it wasn't all just for nothing. Breaking is it's gaining respect.
Right. It legitimized the art form on this platform.
Exactly. So if it doesn't and looks like it, not pursuing an Olympics, that's fine. But now people outside are going to go, okay, cool. This is something that is, again, it's legit, right? So that's
Dope.
my
Dope
take on
hot
that.
take.
I hope that was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, well, no, it's honest, you
Yeah.
know? Sorry, quick sidebar. Could we pump up the brightness for a little
Pump
bit?
up the brightness.
Yeah,
Pump up the brightness.
We're losing light. Hey, pump up the brightness. So, JK, I'm sad because we're already over an hour.
Oh my goodness.
I know, time has flown by and you're such a great storyteller. Like so many good stories, really valuable. And you know, when I invited you onto the show and saw that it was aligning time-wise, that you were going to be in town, I really had the intention in my heart of like, these conversations we're capturing is really for the next generation. It's really for the current generation. You know, we're knowledge keepers of this history, and like, you know, from your generation, the OGs that we had, like a lot of them aren't really around anymore, and we don't have those stories captured. So I think I want to end the show today with asking like my last question being like, what is something that you would want to impart to the current generation of especially the breaking scene? And what are you seeing? Sorry, let's start backtrack,
Rewind.
What are you seeing of the breaking scene right now that you're stoked on because you're now have space from it and you're seeing it with new eyes?
Yeah.
And then what is something you want to impart to them and leave behind, especially in this time capsule of a conversation?
Okay, I hope my brain just remembered what you just said. So it's really cool to see the levels that breaking is going right now, to see the stamina, to see the strength, to see the creativity. It's so inspiring. It's so, you're just like, whoa. Like, sometimes you go, what am I doing with my life? Like, cause you're just like, dang, these kids are so dope, you know?
Yeah. Are there any breakers in general, more specifically, that you're like, wow, I've got my eye on you. You're dope. Like,
I mean,
people to watch out for?
everyone, you know, and especially because I'm with the IZM company that's in Montreal / Ottawa. The Clantes brothers, like they really, wow, when I watched them break on our show, it's just, it really lit the fire for me to battle again. So, you know, and just seeing them and just, the new gen is, it's so, again, my brain is just going like, wow, it's a beautiful thing to see, to be honest. And, but the one thing that I would just say now is just, always just have an open mind. Have an open mind. You know, I remember I had a season when it was just, and I know my brothers Arthur and Sav will feel the same way too. You know, we had a period where breaking was literally all that we knew. So no matter how much you're elevating and growing and escalating in this, learn to start to do this, and just to appreciate really life. Period. You know, you can appreciate everything that's happening in this world, but open your eyes and your mind to what else is out there. And because that's also new and bigger and greater inspirations and other opportunities that are there for you. And that will allow you to also be much more whole and complete as an artist, but also as a human being. And so, you know, when I would travel and do workshops, one of the main things that I would always share and tell people is literally that main part of like, open your minds to other things. And it doesn't mean like, I'm not telling people to change their career. Like if the wind blows for that direction for you, then bet you do it, right? But for example, for me, like already, like before GIJK right now, I'm really pursuing the other arts. JK47 was already dipping into these things, but learning different arts, learning and appreciating different, you know, lifestyles, period. You just gain a better understanding of who you are. You develop a better understanding of what your core values are, and it truly allows you to shine. I don't know why I'm saying this. It truly allows glory to shine in another way for you. And it becomes more powerful. Your impact on the floor is going to be so much greater because it's like an authentic you, truly. I would say this to the people who ever participated in my workshops. You look at your body, right? We have our head, we have our arms, our legs, our fingers, right? I look at our spiritual self, our creative selves like this, right? So you have a spiritual body. This arm represents breaking. This arm represents poetry. This leg represents, music. This leg here represents sketching or whatever, All these different things makes me more complete as a human, right? So that I would just leave and just be happy, right?
Simply.
Just be happy. Be happy, be you. I'm constantly learning and growing and still always learning of, what are my core values, always. Like I have a rooted core values, but I'm always learning. Always learning, So just keep learning and just know that the world doesn't revolve just breaking. There's so many different things, dude. So many different things.
Yes.
So yeah.
And arguably all those different things then actually inform your art practice.
Yeah.
And how you move about in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, this was so fun! JK, thank you for your time, your energy, all your stories.
Thank you for having me.
Honestly, it means a lot that you made time and that you were our first interview for 2024.
Oh, I'm the first.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Okay, real quick.
Sure.
Answer. 2024, what are we excited about?
I'm going to go to Vietnam. I'm going to Mexico. And I'm moving to Montreal.
Big announcement. Wait, how about South America as well? Aren't you going there later this year?
Oh, I already went.
This one.
Oh, sorry.
We have to talk about that.
Actually, there might be. Actually, I forgot. We might be going back. So yeah.
Okay, more travels. 2024. You heard it here on the show first. JK is moving to Montreal.
Oh my gosh! Get ready for me!
Yo! Everyone who is tuned in, watching the replay, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And this has been Vancity Beats, Eats, and